Hello everybody, my name is Joshua and I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of Coffee, Cats, and King, where we will discuss books both new and old. I will share with you pictures of my cats who make you wish they were your cats, and I'm drinking enough coffee for me and everybody watching. So, today's video is another wrap-up. I got behind on the wrap-ups again. Surprise, surprise. So instead of a weekly wrap up, this is very nearly a month worth of wrap up. This is covering March 21st through April 11th. So I'll do this wrap up, then I'll be caught up again and have a regular weekly wrap up. So this is probably going to be a batch thing. You'll see me in the same outfit, same coffee cup at least. And we'll get into the regular weekly wrap-up again. But so for this one, March 21st through April 11th, in that time frame, I read 8 books. Reading has been much slower for me this year. There's a lot going on in trying to get everything done here at the new house. And because we are more centralized, we're out and about more doing things. So I'm just not reading as often. I went from 2 hours of driving a day, where I was listening to audiobooks during that 2-hour drive, to cutting that out entirely. So I think this year I may have finished 2 audiobooks. So it's all. Everything is really weird as far as my reading goes, but I am slowly getting back into it. But in that little period between March and April, pretty slow for me. I did have some pretty large books that I finished off. So we're going to go on and get into the 8 books from that time period. This is hopefully going to be a slightly shorter video, and then, like I said, we'll jump in the next video to a regular weekly wrap-up again, and hopefully keep that going from then on. First book that I finished in that time period was Anarchist on the Orient Express. This was book 2 in Susanna Roundtree's Miss Sharp's Monsters trilogy. The first being The Werewolf of Whitechapel. Fantastic book. Didn't know what to expect going in. I'd never read anything from the author. Absolutely loved it. Immediately jumped into books 2 and 3, in addition to the short little prequel novella that she had in between there. So book 2 was just as good as book 1, possibly even better, in fact. I gave that one 5 stars as well. Fantastic addition to the trilogy. And then immediately got into book 3 of the trilogy. This one did not capture my attention the way that the first 2 did. I gave this one about 3.5 or 4 stars. It was still a good book, and still a reasonably enjoyable way to end the trilogy, but it just didn't capture my imagination the way that those first 2 did. Now, what is exciting about it, though, is that Susanna Roundtree has another series, this one with, I think, 5 or 6 books in it, that has a bunch of crossover characters from the Miss Sharp's Monsters in that series. So I'm very much looking forward to getting into that second series from her, being reintroduced to some of these characters that I enjoyed, and hopefully not dealing with some of the characters that I did not enjoy in this trilogy. But overall, still very impressive. I really had a great time with this trilogy. They're all quick reads. I want to say that they're all about 300 pages or so, maybe a little less. So quick reads, but just a great time if you're looking for, think of it as a supernatural Regency type of fantasy, I suppose. So yeah, I had a really great time with it, and definitely looking forward to getting into that next series in the future. As far as the first physical book that I read during that time period, I finished off Stephen King's Desperation. This is a hefty book, as the majority of King books are, but this one is 700 pages. I did this because it had been well over a decade since I read Desperation and The Regulators, and these two books kind of go together. Stephen King wrote Desperation under his name, and then published The Regulators under the Richard Bachman name. Technically speaking, The Regulators is his early attempt at this story. Now, the story in The Regulators is totally different than that in Desperation, but almost every character that appears in Desperation also appears in The Regulators, albeit in a very different way. They share some ideas, and it's an interesting thing to read them together and see where the idea started versus where it eventually ended. So as far as Desperation, I gave it 4.5 stars. Certainly not my favorite from King, but very much worth a read. The initial setup in particular is really fantastic. You have these folks stopped by this officer on this very lonely stretch of road. He is acting sort of strange, but they go with it because, hey, he's an officer of the law. And then they find themselves in a truly terrifying set of circumstances. So in that regard, I think King really hits upon something that many of us are fearful of, in fact, in those first scenes. And there are some issues with this book in regards to, I think, pacing, which a lot of people argue that King could shorten his novels, and sometimes that is true. I think at this one it is. But I think sometimes he also needs 1,200 pages to really tell the story he's trying to tell. This one, though, was a little slow at times, or a little redundant perhaps, but still 4.5 stars. Very enjoyable book. If you've never read it, something that will certainly kind of get under your skin in those initial scenes. And just has a really interesting story to tell, especially if you are familiar with some of the other work of King. You'll see a lot of those interconnecting, weaved in little details that will make you think of this novel or that novel. Regulators, less successful. I'd give it a 3.5 star. Again, still enjoyable, much quicker, thankfully, but there are definitely more issues in this than in Desperation, which makes sense, because again, this wasn't even supposed to be a published work. This was a very early form of that, and then he basically went in, took those same characters, totally revamped the story and did something completely different with it, and someone, his agent, his publishing company, whomever, decided that they wanted to publish this anyway, had him kind of quickly finish it out, and they did it as a package deal. So 3.5 stars, definitely on the lower end of King's work, I think. But again, more interesting as a fan to see where it started and where it ended up. Next up was William C. Tracy, Fruits of the Gods. This was Shiley's pick for the month, about two sisters who are basically slaves. In this world, there are a few distinct fruits that are grown that give people powers, and you know if you can use these powers by the color of your hair. If you have this color hair, then these fruits will grant you these powers. This color hair, these fruits will grant you these powers. All slaves have their hair bleached constantly, so they don't even know if they have the ability to use this magic or not, because they are told that if they were to try, then they will die from consuming the fruit. So there's a lot of world building packed into these 360 pages, but I think it overwhelms itself. I think there's just too much trying to be tacked together in this book, and I don't think that William C. Tracy was necessarily entirely up to the task. I gave this one 2.5 stars. There were certainly interesting ideas and a good premise going, but I think it just got away from him. And honestly, I think the thing with the magical fruit was fine, but when you incorporated the hair color thing in there too, it got a little messy. So 2.5 on this one. Not one that I would necessarily recommend. The last physical book of this grouping is Catherine Applegate with Wish Tree. This was Chaos's pick for this month. My goodness. And this is a book that was banned for having a main character that is a tree who expressly says, I am both male and female, as many trees are. Anyway, the story itself is a really great one. This is about this old wish tree who has this entire ecosystem of animals and creatures that live within it and around it. One day a new family moves in, and this family is Muslim, and certain people in the neighborhood decide to egg their houses and write terrible things, carve terrible things into the wish tree about this family. And it is about the wish tree and the creatures that live within it trying to come up with a way to help this family and help the young girl in particular. And it's just a really beautiful story. This was 5 stars. I would expect nothing less from the author of Animorphs. And again, another book that has been banned, so I suggest you pick it up while you still can, and see what all the fuss is about. Alright, 2 to go. The next one, I don't have a clue where I got this from, but somehow or another I got a free ebook copy of this, and so I decided on a whim to pick it up one day. This is Mallory Pearson with Voice Like a Hyacinth. And this one, again, I went in with no expectations whatsoever because I didn't even remember picking the book up, so I didn't have a clue what it was about. I just jumped in and figured if I get a couple pages in and don't like it, I can delete it and nothing is lost. Instead, I loved the book, thought it was fantastic. This is just an awesome example of dark academia. And really that's all I should have to say, because you're either into dark academia or you're not. This is dark academia. This is about a group of friends that all end up going to the same very prodigious art institution, and they are all competing for a spot at the end to showcase their work. They don't want to overshadow each other, but they're all so nervous despite being so talented that they ultimately decide to attempt this silly little ritual that is supposed to grant them good luck by stealing all their bad luck and placing it upon one other individual. And obviously things don't necessarily go according to plan. So again, this one, another total surprise, just because I went in with no expectations at all, and I loved it. I ate it up, and I will 100% be getting a physical copy of this book. If you are a fan of dark academia, then just don't even question, don't look up at other reviews, just pick a copy up and read it because you're gonna love it. And to end off, I'll be talking about the lowest rated book on this particular list. This was R.L. Stine's Chicken Chicken. I am very slowly working my way through the original Goosebumps books. Chicken Chicken was one that I didn't necessarily remember that well from back in the day, but it kind of steals ideas from some of his other books, and just ends up as this kind of silly mess where a girl accidentally upsets a strange goth woman in their town, and she curses her to turn into a chicken. It has its moments, but it is definitely on the weak end of the R.L. Stine Goosebumps books. 2 stars. There's much better in regards to the original Goosebumps books. And that will finish out this one. Like I said, you're going to see me in the next video with the same shirt, same coffee mug, because I'm just going to jump right into an actual weekly wrap-up, and hopefully, maybe for once, stick to it. So, quick one for you here, hopefully. Thank you all for joining me. I hope you stay safe, have a great week or weekend, and most importantly, drink great coffee. Cheers.